Hi, I'm Coach Corey Wayne, and today we're going to talk about mistakes to avoid when starting. What did I say the title was?
Mistakes to avoid when starting relationships.
Hi, I'm Coach Corey Wayne, and today we're going to talk about mistakes to avoid when starting relationships. And I've got my miniature friend Jade with me today.
Hello.
So we got an article. This is actually another one from MSN, and I guess it was originally a Newsweek article written by Sophie Lloyd that came out end of April. And so she's got several things in here and the article, which I found interesting, and many of these things I agree with. And so these are things that you don't want to do. Hiding your intentions. And she talks about playing it cool. In other words, not being honest and forthcoming about what you're looking for. And at the end of the day, all relationships start out as casual affairs, casual hanging out, casual having fun together, casual hooking up. And what sets a relationship apart from just the casual part is that the casual part becomes more and more frequent. Even if you're dating 2 or 3 different people because you're trying to find the right person for you, the more time you spend with somebody, if you really click and you really jive with them, you have a better time with them. The sex is better,
Right.
The conversations are better. You genuinely like being around that person. And so over time, you just start to gravitate towards one specific person. And just from the work that I do, a lot of guys, their problem is that they're trying to lock women down to a commitment right out of the gate, trying to get too serious too soon. And typically guys go out on a date with the attitude of, I hope she likes me. I hope I can get her. I hope I can win her. I hope I can catch her. But women typically have the attitude of, hey, let's go out and see what happens. Do I like this guy? Is he good for me? Does he have similar goals, similar values? And women tend to fall in love way slower than most guys do.
You think so?
I know so. Because us guys, we're visual creatures, and we see...
They're very simple creatures as well.
Yes.
Very
we see
simple.
wow, she's perfect. And then they're already imagining what the kids are going to look like.
With us in 5 minutes.
Yeah, and I would imagine, like, what's your experience in dating and having boyfriends, and what you have seen, especially like that. You start dating a guy, and have you been out with guys, I would assume, that you felt pressured to get serious with, and you're like, I barely know this guy, or they're telling you that they love you, and you're thinking, you don't even know me.
Like I was talking about a couple moments ago, during the COVID time, we were a lot of people had, like, I guess it was like what people call it in the winter, they call it cuffing season. Well, COVID was definitely cuffing, like a cuffing moment, like cuffing for 2 years, right? So you're inside pretty much for almost like 2 years. Well, Florida, we were here for what? Like a year.
We had a few months.
Yeah, well, it was like almost a year where certain jobs opened up. But I was seeing this one guy, and we were just kind of seeing each other like right before we had just met, right before COVID. And then we started seeing each other, and he wasn't my boyfriend, but we were casually seeing each other. Like, he would come over, do a date, or we would like make, dinner or what have you. And then during COVID, he would come over every day. Unannounced. And it was fine at first.
This was your current boyfriend or a previous?
He wasn't my boyfriend. Let's just make that
he
clear.
Was,
we were just somebody that
he was your friends with benefits.
Yes.
He was your booty call.
So during COVID, it like that happened, and then he just never left my house. Like, there would be moments where
like
I'm
a turd that won't flush.
I guess so. Nowadays you rarely have this because the high water pressure, But yeah, we would be doing something, and I'm like, well, I have some things I need to do, so I'll let you know. And like sometimes he would come over, and maybe I would have a guy over that was just my friend, but he would try to ride past my house. He's like, I've seen another car in your driveway. I'm like, okay, that was my friend so and so. Like, just be like real clingy. So that's just no.
He was trying to lock you down.
He was trying to lock
and-
me down. And I had to tell him multiple times that we were not together. You're not my boyfriend. And then I would tell him, listen, hey,
This is just sex.
I don't want to see you anymore. And then he would just he's like, well, your birthday's coming up. Like, yeah, I know. And then he bought me stuff for my birthday. And I was like, I don't want to see you.
So he wasn't getting the hint.
No, and and he was a really nice guy.
But when you started hooking up with him, were you open to dating him?
We
Or
were,
was it just from the get-go?
Literally, I told him that we were just, hooking up. And I feel like for me, and sometimes it's really bad, but I'm mean to the person. They're in love with you, but it's you want to be mean to them, so it kind of pushes them away. Even
you find that unusual? Like, how can this guy be in love with me and I'm just tolerating him?
They're most people like that are weak-minded, and it's really bad to take.
So he couldn't tell that you weren't that into him because he's projecting his high interest
he could
onto
tell,
you.
but he just didn't care. He just kept.
He's like, I'm gonna make her mine.
Yes,
I'm gonna wear
her down. It was very obsessive, very. It was very bad.
So you were clear in your intent in the beginning that
this
is nothing serious. This is just casual, friends with benefits type of thing. But in his mind, he was like, he's going to make you his girlfriend.
Yeah. And he just became obsessed and just would never leave. Never wanted to leave my house. I would come home from work and he knew where my spare key would clean my house, take my dog out, feed the cat. I'm like, oh, when I come home from work, sometimes I just want to be left alone, especially if you're not.
So he's very forceful.
Yeah, very. And he was saying
he was going where he wasn't invited.
Exactly. That is very true.
So you told him what you were looking for and he didn't listen.
That is right. So, and then sometimes that happens with starting off new relationships. You need to come across what you need to make sure you each have the same mindset, because you don't want to be further down the road and develop feelings and then find out the other person is not on the same page as you, because that's not more or less is devastating. And it's, that's.
We also tend to project our fantasy of what we want onto the other person.
Yeah.
And then we ignore reality.
What they think. Yeah.
And obviously that was going on there.
I get told more or less a lot of times, I'm in a long-term relationship, but he always tells me that I'm in a fantasy world, which I am. I have this trajectory of all these things. And I'm like, well, Jade, come on, scale it back down to earth, because this is.
What's the fantasy world that you're in?
Kids, house, dog.
You want kids and he doesn't?
No, he wants kids too, but just, something.
He's in no rush to make it happen.
Right. He wants to, we have to be established first. We're still in an apartment. You can't have kids in an apartment in Florida. That just doesn't work. Especially if babies. I'm not trying to go down it's horrible with the dog, because I have to go down all these flights just to take the dog out 4 or 5 times, more or less. Actually, I only take him out once or twice. My boyfriend's the one that takes him out more than I do, and it's my dog. But
you delegate that responsibility.
I'm the morning and he's the nighttime.
You're the morning shift. He's the night shift.
Yeah.
So the next part of this article is being hung up on your ex, making your new date prospect your therapist. And if you tell them all the dirty things that went sideways in your last relationship, that's going to endear you to him. Have you had that experience going out with a new guy and all he wants to do is talk about his ex or somebody that broke his heart?
I'm the same seat. I feel like when you first start a relationship, you actually look for things in your new, I would say prospect, but
your prospect.
Your prospect. But a lot of stuff that's that you look for in your new sexual endeavor or whatever it is, you look at your ex and you kind of pick things that are similar. Not purposely, but people do. You use the same things, maybe the looks are similar, or their age, or their work or main career or hobbies or anything like that. Some like people have the bad tendencies of picking stuff from their ex and trying to pick it out to their new
Looking for the same
significant.
qualities or
Yeah, the
picking
same
at it?
like same qualities. They try like if they're still hung up on their ex, they try to find if their ex wants nothing to do with them.
Or they react to you in the same way that they reacted to their ex because they assume you're the same way.
Yeah, exactly.
Next item, not taking the time to reflect. This is important. And what I see in phone sessions I do with people is that they get involved with somebody that may have been in a multi-year relationship. And then that person ends that multi-year relationship and then gets involved with somebody new or somebody that's in the middle of a divorce proceeding, but they're still living with the person that they're divorcing.
Yeah.
And while they start a relationship with somebody new and they become exclusive with somebody who's still basically living with their ex to be. And then at some point, especially as it gets closer to the final judgment and the divorce being over, then the person that's getting divorced or being left typically tries to make another go of it. And what often happens in those situations, especially where there's a woman living with her ex-husband to be, and she's got a new boyfriend of like a year or two, and then they have kids together, and as the divorce gets close to being resolved, then the ex-husband to be wants to work things out for the good of the kids or the family. And then what happens is the woman tends to back off in that situation. And meanwhile, the new boyfriend feels her pulling away. And then he naturally wants to fix things.
Yeah.
And so he starts calling and texting more and chasing and pursuing and literally drives her back into the arms of the husband, the ex-husband to be. And then she's like, well, I'm going to give it another chance for the sake of the kids. And that's one of the things I wrote about in my book, 3% Man, is that's why you don't get involved with somebody that just had a breakup or is still living with their ex, because their emotions are hot and cold.
Yeah. And there's still that emotional, there's still that passion. Because as soon as you get angry, you see the fire in their eyes, and it's just like it could be their sex or you're going to punch them. So that's, when you've been with
violent little person, aren't you?
No, but I'm just saying, like, when you're that, you have children, you've been through that stuff with each other. And like, sometimes you want to hit that one person. I mean, you shouldn't.
You like beating people up?
No, no.
She's got you've heard of little man syndrome. Jade has little girl syndrome.
I do not have little girl syndrome. Thank you very much. But I mean, you just like those two people have that passion between one another. So for a third person to come in and think that they're going to interrupt that at that point in time, you got to be out of your mind. And like, she's just doing that, or he's just doing that to, just to coat their feelings. Because they're just sugarcoating just coating.
They're replacing one intimate relationship with something completely different.
Yeah. And that's why a lot of people do that, because it's completely different. But then they realize being with that other person, that new person doesn't know them like the other person was. And then now the fact that you were saying that they try to text them back, and it does draw them back to the other person's arms, because the person's freaking annoying. It's being annoying and trying to do things that your husband wasn't doing before, and now your husband's doing better because he wants you back and sees that you can do and get other people. Whereas most significant others are like, oh, she's never going to leave, or he's never going to leave. Oh, yeah, they will. If you knew better, you do better.
A lot of people like to monkey branch. Women in that situation, they got the new boyfriend, and then yet they're still living with the ex who wants to work things out. Now she's got
that's disrespectful.
two people.
And
but it happens a lot. Or you've got the woman, what happens a lot, because I've done a lot of those phone sessions over the years with women that are involved with guys that are married, and they're basically the mistress.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not the right time. My wife's depressed right now. We got, in the fall I'll be ready. Then, I just got to find the right time to talk to her and end things. And meanwhile, it's years are going by, and this new woman is putting her life on hold. And in reality, it's like, you look at the guy's actions. He still lives with the wife. They go on family trips. They're still together. You're just the mistress that
exactly.
she doesn't know about, and they don't want to hear it. But it happens.
And some of the wives actually know about the mistress, and they still carry on normal lives, even though the wife knows about that her husband is sleeping with someone else. She just carries on because the kids are there, and she doesn't want to. And I personally, I do not think that's fair. Like, you shouldn't have to hold your family together for discrepancies. Your husband's cheating and doesn't, wants to have his cake and eat it too, or whether you're doing it too, or
You need somebody that's ready, willing, able, and open to having a relationship.
Yes. And you have to have the same goals, not the same exact, to be
Similar values.
similar values. Similar values, of course, because I'm from the Carolinas. My values are probably not going to be the same as some girl that's been raised in Miami and Hialeah
Hillbilly
or
from the
something like
mountains.
that. Like, I'm just, I'm pretty old school when it comes to certain items. I sleep in the same bed, but we're not sleeping in two different beds. Like, who does that? The Mormons do that? They sleep in separate beds, but it's in the same room. Or Ethel and what's his name from I Love Lucy?
Well, back in the old days, the 50s, they never showed couples sleeping in the same bed.
They were in two
because
separate beds.
they always did on TV, even though everybody grew up, mom and dad slept in the same
Yeah.
bed, but on television they didn't. I think maybe it was the Brady Bunch. I think it was the first time they showed a husband and wife
Just
sharing
sleeping
a bed.
in the same bed.
And
Yeah.
that was in the early 70s.
Yeah.
Late 60s, early 70s.
Yeah, 68, I think.
That's just, in 40, 50 years, that's how
Yeah,
far
but
the culture's come.
I Love Lucy, I think the next door neighbors, Ethel, I can't remember the man's name.
Ethel and Fred.
Fred, yeah. They slept in two separate beds. So, maybe they should. Me and my boyfriend, the best thing, we would, in our old apartment, we had one bedroom, one bathroom. Now we have two bedrooms, two bathrooms. I have my bedroom and bathroom, and he has his own bedroom and bathroom, and it's been.
So you guys are no longer fumigating each other.
Well, that and all his guy friends use his bathroom. Nobody, because my bedroom is the master bedroom, is the bathroom. So we're not like fighting over who uses the bathroom. We're not fighting over the rugs, or you left something on the counter.
I got a friend of mine. He would go into his wife's bathroom and just take a giant dump and
Oh,
leave it in the bowl and not flush it for her, just to fuck with her.
No,
That's true love. That's true love.
I don't care about the poop thing, but the pee is like this like
it goes everywhere.
I'm like, what the hell?
He doesn't have
is
good
this?
aim.
I'm like, he's like, the dog peed on my rug again. I said, well, maybe if you didn't do it, the dog wouldn't do it either.
He's got bad aim.
The rug's all the way over here. I guess it's like when the boys wake up in the morning, it's either on the ceiling or over here.
He's got problems. Setting and enforcing healthy boundaries. So this is a big one. Is that out of somebody's pleaser type of mentality, desire to be liked, desire to be loved, their boundaries get violated, and then they don't stand up for themselves, and no one will ever do or say anything to you that you don't invite them to do.
Right.
And what you tolerate, you invite more of. And if you allow somebody to constantly walk all over you, then eventually they lose respect for you. Obviously, as a woman, I'm sure you've dated and been with guys. They're just pussies. They let you get away with little signs of disrespect, and they never stand up to you.
Right. Those are people that I'm just like, I don't want to be with you. But also,
you want a guy with a spine.
Exactly.
They'll put you in your place.
With anything with that, I feel like a lot of people now, they have low self-esteem, and you can't be with someone and like expect a successful relationship until you know about yourself, love yourself, and are confident about yourself. You're not going to have a successful relationship unless you know you. And like, just like you said, like nobody's going to respect you if you just let people walk all over you. If you're confident in yourself, that's very attractive, that you're confident in yourself. Self-loving that's awesome. Be yourself, and just, project that upon people. You don't have to be arrogant like a in the other ones we were talking about, like, don't be arrogant, but
If they piss all over your rug, you gotta tell them about it.
don't let them piss on the rug, but don't piss on me. Just have a backbone. It's fine. There's a way in this.
Weakness invites aggression.
Yeah, it does. Because there are people out there that are people who bully other people, like during relationships. You're not the weak one. They're the weak one because it's like a lion and a lamb.
But you're enabling it when you do that, though.
That is true. That is very true. But that's why I'm saying before you get in a relationship, you have to learn yourself.
Know yourself. Know thyself. Know thy Seotin, I think is how, was it Socrates said that?
Socrates?
Plato?
Yeah. Is it Socrates?
Know thyself?
I forget what she said. It's one of them. Somebody.
It's somebody.
You're big help, Chunky.
But like people will walk all over you your whole entire life if you just let them, and you can't.
Yep.
Can't do that. So if once you know yourself and you become confident, then you can go out there. You can do whatever the hell you want. Get whoever you want. Doesn't matter. You could be scrubbing the streets one day.
It's mind over matter. If you don't mind, it don't matter.
Yeah, exactly.
Next one, not being authentic, not being who you are, not saying what you think and what you feel, and letting the chips fall where they may. What do you think about that?
I think a lot of people do that here in South Florida. They change who they are. Say there's a lot of prosperous men here and women. But I feel like a lot of women change themselves to fit the satire of like to get someone who is successful, like the Botox, the boobs, the butt,
the fish lips,
the artificial lips. Yeah, that they think that it's like Barbie. They try to be
and
like
they end
a
up
Barbie.
looking like a porcelain doll.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and for me, like coming from a small town, like. Boobs was all I ever saw. Like everybody had fake boobs. Here, Southern, you got fake boobs for the most part. Like a lot of the older women, if you have bleach blonde hair, the boobs went with it. But I never seen a fake butt until I moved here 6 years ago. I was like, what the hell is that? Looks like an alien orb coming out of it. So like I feel like a lot of people do a lot of stuff to themselves.
It's
to
like
appease.
fat relocation. They suck it from one part of the body and inject it into the booty.
I don't have anywhere to suck fat from. So.
Obviously.
There's nothing there to suck fat anywhere. But I feel like a lot of people here and a lot of people just in general nowadays, they do try to appease other people with looks, their careers. It's not for themselves, not to better themselves. It's to appease other people and to attract men, women, so-and-so, whatever you're.
So it's false
interested.
advertising.
Yeah, it is a lot of false advertising.
Squats are better.
Squats are better.
Squats and leg press.
I got my first the rubber band things, the leg bands, and a yoga mat the other day.
Resistance bands.
Yeah, the resistance bands. I got drunk and used them one time.
Oh, you were sore?
Well, no. From the resistance bands, I used them for like a little bit. I did, and then I decided to do 30 push-ups, and then I was sore. My arms were sore for like a week and a half.
Oh, poor baby.
Yeah, I know.
I guess that means you're out of shape.
I'm very out of shape. Very, very out of shape. If the elevators went out in my building, I don't know what I would do. Probably just try to throw myself down the stairs and see how far I could get. I used to run track too. I was like, when I was younger. Yeah, I probably can't run down the street.
You can't even run to the front driveway?
Yeah, no. Probably couldn't even run like a staircase down.
Damn, girl.
It's probably not that bad, but I'll be dying.
With all that cigarette smoking, all those coffin nails.
Yeah, when I was younger, I used to smoke a lot.
How many packs a day?
Probably like a pack a day when I was like
Damn.
20 years old. And then I stopped smoking that much when I was 21. And then ever since then, I haven't I'm like a social smoker. So that happens.
Being closed-minded. So the author talks about being closed-minded, and their perception of being closed-minded is glossing over your new partner's weaknesses instead of being so judgmental and picking them apart. Because I mean, the reality is that everybody's fucked up in some way.
Yeah,
Everybody's got
absolutely.
some aspect of their personality that most people are not going to like. I mean, everybody can get on your nerves. I know everybody gets on mine, but I mean, that's the reality. You can find something wrong with everybody. Nobody is perfect. And it's like kind of something like, I can't remember what Bob Marley said, but it's like finding somebody that you love enough that you're willing to kind of suffer through their weaknesses, their insecurities, their flaws, their doubts, the things that grate on your nerves.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like when you first started dating someone, everything is like, you're happy, you don't care. Like, you throw that stuff in a little box, you're like, oh, they won't do it anymore. That's it. They won't do it anymore. But as you keep, you keep going out, you're still dating, you're like, shit, that really gets on my damn nerves. And the person does it all the time. But it's not like they should, unless it's like a really bad habit or something like that. When you're living together, if you live together, my boyfriend always, I don't know why he does it. He finishes a can of, we have soda, we drink soda water at home. He finishes it, puts it on the edge of the sink. I don't understand. So there'll be like a couple of cans lined up, and I'm like, the garbage is over here. Or you can take one of the little bags from the grocery store, put it in a plastic bag, even though our recycling don't says no plastic bags, which I don't understand that. But anyways, put it in there and recycle it. But he just likes to line them up on the sink and put the glasses out on the side of the sink, or he uses multiple glasses a day. That drives me absolutely nuts. Get one glass. That's your glass for the day. That's the glass you're supposed to use the whole entire day. Instead of emptying out the whole entire
So that's
cabinet.
one of those kind of habits that when you love somebody, you're like, whatever, I'll just throw the damn cans away myself and put the thing in the dishwasher.
So I just do it myself, or I just load the dishwasher. But it does get kind of quite annoying now. Like I was saying before, we do have separate bathrooms, so it's nice to not have to do with like the men's toilets. So I'm like, no, you can't use my bathroom. Use your own.
Who does all the cleaning?
We do both. Like usually it's I'll
You
do
clean his
some.
bathroom too?
Sometimes, but we also have a housekeeper sometimes that comes in like twice a month that does. She broke my iPad last time, so I don't know if that'll
Oh,
be
that's right. I
coming
remember
back.
you telling me about that.
Yeah, she broke my iPad right in half.
Damn.
Yeah, I was like, oh, okay. I got an Oculus now, so I'm like, I'm just gonna have to put all my stuff away in the closet so she doesn't break it. But yeah. Changing the other person is not a good thing. Unless they're like,
Did you used to do that when you were younger? You didn't know any better? You'd start dating a guy and he'd be perfect if I could just fix this one thing.
yeah. I feel like everybody does that, though. Maybe they'll change. They don't change. Let me tell you, they do not change. It's going to be the same. They might cut down, but
People
don't
don't change who they are. They may become a better version.
A better
of who they
version of
are.
themselves, or sometimes dating the wrong person, you become a worse version of yourself. So that happens too.
Like, what types of things did you look past? What kind of red flags did you look past? And like, oh, I can work with this. I can fix that guy.
A lot of times, like not a lot of times, but I would say like if they were like drinking too much or abusing drugs or going out all the time, spending a lot of money. I don't know.
So you figure you would be a good accountant. You keep them honest. How'd that work out?
Not very well. Not very well.
So at some point you got to a place and you realized it's like, this is pointless.
Yeah, well, I mean, some people, they just are who they are. Like, my boyfriend now, he's pretty frugal. Like, he likes saving money. So I'm like, hey, can we do this? He's like, I'm not trying to have a $300 lunch. I'm like, okay. But
Vetoed that idea.
Yeah, I was like, okay. Well, like the other day, I made like 2 pounds of like ground beef. So I ate tacos. I love tacos. So I ate tacos that whole entire week. I was like,
So Taco Tuesday is a big thing in your house.
yeah, he's like, I don't even like Mexican food, but I love Mexican food, and they have none, like no good Mexican restaurants here. There's none. It's horrible. But anyways, so he's like, he asked me if he wanted me to, wanted him to bring me food, and I was like, no, I got my taco stuff. We still have taco stuff, and he was like, you know what? That's a great answer. And I was like, so then he like came home, but most of the time I always want to eat out. I'm really bad about that.
Oh, this is interesting. Bringing a third party into your relationship. I see this a lot, especially with guys that are having problems with their girlfriend. And then they start going to their girlfriend's mother or father or her brothers or other people and telling them about the problems, hoping that they're going to get the family's assistance. And if the guy is displaying a lot of beta male type of behavior, a lot of weak, unattractive behaviors, and then he goes to the other person, hey, put a good word in for me.
Yeah.
Or he gets dumped and he's crying in his beer to all of her friends, thinking they're
like, what the hell?
Yeah, thinking that this is going to help his case. What he's constantly doing is displaying more unattractive behavior. And so now the girlfriends and her friends are going to her thinking they're helping the situation.
But they're making
he's really torn up about it. He's not sleeping at night. He's not eating. He's lost 10 pounds.
Now you're just
and so they're saying all
disgusting.
These things versus...
You want to hear he's doing good.
He's doing great. It's like he was shocked. He went back online and got on online dating sites. He says, man, he's like, women are so aggressive. He's got a different date every night of the week with a different girl. He's really happy. I would be
turned off by that, but
and because he's moving on. He's having a good time.
Well, that's when girls want to attack. They're like, I want him now.
And then exactly. And then the fact that he moves on so easily and it doesn't seem bothered.
Right.
Versus if he's all torn up about it and she's the one that dumped him, it just makes him look weak and pathetic. But if he's moved on and people are like, hey, what happened to you and so-and-so? It's like, oh, we're not dating anymore. She was great. We had a great experience. But man, I got back on online dating and it's like, I'm so busy now. It's amazing. And I'm really excited. I got this girl I met the other day and I can't wait to meet her this weekend. And we had a great conversation the other night. And then that kind of stuff gets back to the friend, and that helps the situation.
Well, some people do that as they're like just telling stories or putting on a facade that they're doing all these things just so it puts a little buzz in the girl's ear, like a little woo-hoo. So she's like, oh, he's Mark is doing good. Let me call him. Or he's got a new girl. Let me call him.
He moved on so fast. It's almost like he didn't care.
Yeah.
He seemed so torn up when I broke up with him.
Exactly.
How can he move on so quickly? Maybe he wasn't really into me.
Yeah, he's so strong now. Let me call him. That's how
it works.
Women want things. Well, I mean, most people want things that seems unattainable, so they can work towards like
scarcity
the
creates
chase,
value.
like a cheetah, like you're going after it, like. It's crazy how the mind works. Like,
we appreciate what we have to work for, and we take for granted what comes easy.
Yeah, that does happen.
So, to recap, don't be whining and crying and talking about how poorly you're doing to anybody that knows this girl, including guys in your friend group that you think are your friends that also know her. Because it's more than likely, those particular guys probably want to fuck your ex.
Exactly.
And they'll use that to make you look weak and pathetic, sandbag you while they try to slide in on your girl.
Right.
And so when you have mutual friends in common, it's best that the perception is presented that you're having a damn good time and you moved on and you're happy and you sound like you're even happier.
If you're not having a good time, just play off that you are, because you don't want to sound like
from a strategic perspective. Yep.
Yeah. Exactly.
Cool. And then the last thing the article talks about is rushing it. Ew. And this is where, like we were talking about earlier, guys that are needy, they're desperate, they try too hard, they call too much, they text too much, they want to spend too much time. Like the guy that you were talking about that was your friends with benefits when the lockdowns had started.
Yeah.
And he's driving by your house. I saw this car out there. Who is that? And you told him up front, it's like, hey, this is, it's nothing more than a casual fling for me. And yet he saw what he wanted to see. He's projecting his high interest, his fantasy of what he wanted you to be.
Has blinders on.
Yeah. And he's not seeing the reality.
That's right. Well, also it happens with like people, they become in a relationship and they're like, well, let's move in together. Don't do that. I'm telling you right now, if it's been a week and you think you love this person, do not move into their house. Do not do it. Been there. Don't do it because it's still their house.
You moved in with somebody after a week?
It's not your house. It's their house. You ain't on the lease.
Did you do that after a week? When you
Did
were
I
younger?
do that?
She's stalling.
I have.
She's not directly answering the question.
I have done that.
Okay. When a woman
It
stalls
doesn't-
like
it
that,
doesn't
that's how you
work
can
out.
tell. She's like, oh, I don't want to answer this. Oh, no.
It does not work out because it's still their house. If you are not on the lease, that is not your house. Doesn't matter how long you've lived there. That is not your house, and they can tell you to leave.
Is that what happened?
No, I'm still here. No, well, we moved different apartments. I'm on the lease now.
Oh, the lease. Are you talking about right now?
Yeah.
How long were you guys dating before? Well, you knew him for a couple of years, though, right?
Yeah. It was I never left my house. I moved out like I guess a couple months after, but yeah.
That was the guy that you were the casual hookup. So you moved.
No,
from
this was
there?
now. My boyfriend now.
So you moved in with him how long after you started dating?
We weren't even like really dating. I just went to his house and I never went home.
Ah.
I told him, he told me, he's like, oh, you don't have to leave. I was like, well, I have animals at home, so I think I have to at some point. But yeah, don't ever do that.
So, okay. So how long were you guys dating before? So you were friends for a couple of years, I thought you
Yeah.
said.
Yeah.
And then you started hooking up.
Yeah.
And then after you started
I was
hooking
just
up,
always
you
at
just
his
never
house.
left.
Yeah. What is it? There was, I seen something
And so
online the other day.
So he's on the lease or you're on the lease now? Is that what you're saying?
We're both on the lease now.
Okay.
But before I wasn't
You're
on the lease.
You're officially cohabitating.
We're cohabitating now.
But
before-
previously,
We were not. So before you move in with someone, make sure you're on the lease. Make sure.
because they can kick you out.
Absolutely. And but also like you don't want somebody hanging that over your head. Well, this isn't your house. Well, if it's not my house, I ain't cleaning your dishes anymore. I'm not doing your dishes. I'm not making you food. You can order your own food.
But you moved in with somebody at one point after a week of dating.
Yeah.
And how long were you there?
I still haven't left. I like gave up my apartment. And that was it. Like after a couple months. I don't even think I slept in my apartment at all.
So you have an apartment that you're on the lease for that you don't live
Well, I
there?
used to. I kept it for like 3 months after, but I was just.
So it was your apartment, you were on the lease and he wasn't?
No, he had his own apartment. I had my own apartment, but I used to go to his house, and then he was like, "Just stay here."
This was the boyfriend before the current
no,
boyfriend?
this is the one I have now.
Well, you mentioned there was a guy you moved into his house after a week of dating.
Yeah, I did do that.
And then it didn't end well because you weren't on the lease, you said. So he kicked you out after some.
Well, no, he didn't kick me out. Like he had his own house, and then he was older, and it was just very He had his 2 older kids that lived with him too as well. So it was like me and the daughter were kind of clashing for certain things.
And you knew him for a whole week and then you moved in.
No, I didn't know him for a whole week.
How long was it before you officially moved in?
It was like 2 months.
2 months. Okay.
2
So we went from
months.
a week to 2 months.
2 months. That was my relationship.
Notice how
My
evasive
first-
Jade is. She's been hard to give up those details.
Yeah.
2 months and so after you moved in, how long did you stay living with him before you dipped out?
I think it was almost like a year. It was almost a year, and then I got a house, and then I only lived there for a little bit because it was haunted. I had to get the hell out of there, and then I moved to my apartment I had this past apartment, and I lived there for a little bit, and then he didn't really have that much time for me, so I just was like, can't really be with you anymore.
He stopped dating and courting you properly?
That's correct.
You became roommates.
Well, no, he didn't live with me. He had his own house, and I had my own house, but I never really saw him. Like maybe once or twice a week, and I was just like,
So you were a glorified booty call.
yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
And then after a while, you got tired
yeah, I
of the
was
fact
just
that he
like,
wasn't
no.
making the effort.
Yeah. It's like, oh, and then he was like, well, for my birthday, he's like, do you want to go on a trip? And I was like, No, I found someone else. We're going.
Damn. So you monkey branched from the old boyfriend to the new
we
boyfriend.
hadn't been dating for a while, but we were still friends. I mean, we're still friends now, but I'm not sexually attracted to him. He's still just my
So
friend.
you had stopped hooking up for a while before you met the new guy. It started hooking up with the new guy, who wasn't really a new guy because you knew him for a couple of years.
Yeah. So.
Are you guys confused yet by Jade's history?
Yeah.
Here?
There was that weird one in the middle. The one that never left my house.
That guy. There was
that
call.
was the
so
one
there was
in
the
the
old
middle.
boyfriend. Then there was a new booty call,
and then
there was the guy that you were kind of friends with because he was probably looking at like going, "You already got 2 dudes right now."
Yeah, that's what he was saying.
You didn't want to be a third, and then eventually you got rid of the other two.
We would talk about our like mishaps and like we got to stop doing this. So we'd meet up at Brass Tap and be like, da 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 da. And then us talking about our problems about other people brought us together, and now we're together. Almost 2 years, so that's good.
Okay. Well, that was a long explanation.
Yeah.